I can't believe you'd say that, Tully.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weird Awakenings. Here we talk about off-the-wall, strange, Floridian, paranormal. If it's weird and bizarre, we talk about it. I'm here with the usual suspects, Miss Hadley Thorne, Mr. Tully, Cecil, and Stephen. We are a part of the Weird Realities Network, and you can find us on Linktree, linktr.ee/Weird Realities. That's weird with a Y. Tonight, we are talking about Cern. This is also our 1 year anniversary. So this one is dedicated to the guys. They have full-blown access to say whatever they want about Cern tonight.
I wouldn't say full blown.
Banned from the internet.
We never go full blown.
Well, we do during the after show, but hi, Mike Lewis. How are you tonight?
Hi, Mike.
Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
All right. So, guys, give us a brief rundown. What is Cern?
Tully's the professional. Let him do it.
Well, I was telling the girls before the show, I don't have much of a voice right now, so I won't be doing a lot of talking this show.
Oh. Well,
I'm going to talk for him.
Then you go for it.
All right. So CERN is the Large Hadron Collider that is, where is it, Switzerland?
Yep.
Yes, in Switzerland. There are so many theories as to what exactly they're doing with it over there. They have discovered the Higgs boson, which technically is considered the God particle. This thing is huge. It's like 27 kilometers in a big circle. And it supposedly can run things up to close to the speed of light. So what do we think they're doing over there? Hi, Landa.
Hi, Landa.
Hey, Landa.
Even if there wasn't a lot of conspiracies circling CERN, the machine itself is something to be like. It's a modern wonder because it is like 17 miles in circumference.
Mm-hmm.
It has a gravitational pull that's 100,000 times more powerful than the Earth's. Like I think they have somewhere up to like 10,000 super magnets.
Yeah.
And the heat that it produces is somewhere around the range of 100,000 times hotter than the center of the sun.
Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Carrie. So to have something like that operating on Earth's surface is kind of terrifying in itself if you don't go into what they actually are probably doing with this machine.
Right.
There's something.
Go ahead.
Something that bothers me about CERN, and this is like very face value before we get into the nooks and crannies. They always say that our top secret technology is 50 years ahead of what we can see.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me thinks that the only reason that the public knows about CERN is because they have to give some form of disclosure of what they're doing before they do it. Some people believe that there are underground tunnel systems all over the United States and the world that could also contain these particle accelerators, a much bigger version. So for just the scratch of the surface, I think that CERN is just the face of the parade.
I could get behind that because when you look at it on the surface, as long as they're giving most people a little information, it's enough. Well, they're telling us what they're doing. So why are we going to question that? What could they possibly be doing that they're not already telling us about?
That disclosure element is really big in secret societies. Like it's almost like mockery.
Yeah. Yep.
What if it's more of a situation where disclosure, if they disclose something to us, people as a whole can manifest it into reality for them? You know
Well,
what I mean? Like
yeah.
they tell you a situation that they can't necessarily pull off, and then a collective mind puts everything together and then makes it happen.
It could be too. Maybe there's some stuff that they need public thought for.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah.
And if you use gematria or that word stuff, you know, a lot of the things that you hear about Cern can be concerning. Concern.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and it's not just CERN itself. It's so much of the other things that go on around it.
Mhm.
You know, there's all this ritual involved. You know, that really doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, I mean, it doesn't make sense to what they're supposed to be doing. And of course, scientists are very upset that people think they're opening portals and stuff like that, you know.
But you opened it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sergio Bortolucci stated that they can open portals up. Basically, they can open portals up into another dimension for a short amount of time.
Right.
Yeah, and what happens whenever they have CERN going and they turn on all the HARP antennas at the same time? What's causing some of these? I don't know. I hate to go down this far down the rabbit hole with conspiracies, but what about the hurricanes?
I've got your
earthquakes, everything else that's going on whenever they turn both of them on at the same time? Because there's over 10 of those HARP facilities in the United States.
These recent earthquakes that have been happening, right before the earthquake, there's this very almost like an angelic hertz that you can hear before the earthquake takes place. It's like binaural music almost. It sounds like, and then these natural disaster events are happening.
Yeah.
So they're not really natural.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if we would get banned if I told you the reason for that earthquake in Turkey. I can tell you after the show.
After show.
After the show.
There was a warning involved. Can we go that far?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there.
He looks so angelic when he gets so happy about telling us this stuff.
Let's go on it. I mean, let's roll on it.
It's like it really does sound like binaural beats, like something you would listen to as a sound bath or something.
Oh yeah, like I said, that's pretty much almost every night what I go to sleep to. You know, I mean, so I can see that because it does affect you. It affects the surroundings. I was listening to one here not too long ago. I think we were talking about it after show one night about when you get into those really low frequencies.
Yes.
And I found some that were like in the 20 to 40 hertz range, and my dogs went ballistic.
Yes.
I couldn't hear it.
Yep. Anything below 20 hertz, humans cannot hear. And once you drop down below 10, that's when it really starts vibrating your insides.
Right.
Well,
we're talking about infrasound is what we're talking about.
You remember us talking about that group of monks that were using sound to levitate rocks, big boulders?
Yes.
So imagine that technology. If monks can do it with sticks and stones, imagine scale that up to like top secret black ops money,
right? And
you've got something that could literally destroy the planet if they wanted to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This. Yeah. My conspiracy theory on this right here goes real deep and real dark. Real dark.
I want to hear it all.
Okay. Well, as I've told y'all before, I believe in the Bible. So, y'all are still friends with me anyway.
That's right, because that's right.
I think the key word is you're still friends with us.
That too.
However it goes. Right. What you're going to find in the Bible is that a third of the angels fell from heaven. They began as good angels, and they're fallen angels, and they're dark angels. And some of them were so nasty and so mean that they have been locked up for thousands of years. And this is my honest opinion on this right here, especially whenever you have Sergio Bortolucci talking about how they can open a portal into another dimension. Those angels are held in a different dimension from what we can see and realize. And I honestly believe they're trying to let that one out, because whenever you get into the book of Revelation, you're going to read about Apollyon, and you're going to read about this other dark angel, this beast that's going to come up out of the pit. And that's going to happen at the end times. And whenever this happens, they're going to try to wipe out every human being on the earth, is what their goal is going to be.
Well, and I've got something to add to that, because I believe in that too. And it's so strange that they almost took it straight from biblical history to where they place CERN.
Yes.
In the book of Revelation, they pinpoint basically where the devil's, is it the devil's throne or is it the portal to hell? I forget. They basically pinpoint
It's
exactly.
It's the, if you take, so in the Bible, it's the ancient terms for these places.
Yeah.
But in modern coordinates, they put Lucifer's throne in Geneva, Switzerland.
Yes.
And that's almost like they pinpointed it straight from Revelations to where they decided to build this for this.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, is it a coincidence that their symbol is 666?
No.
You know
I mean,
what? There's this is so random, but it's related. There's a show that I recently watched an episode of. It's brand new, called The Periphery. I've only got to see one episode of it, but they basically use a collider to go back in time to hijack people's bodies from these timelines, because they live in a time of like true artificial intelligence, like quantum computing. And in the future, so the opening scene of the show, nothing but statues of Saturn and Apollo.
Really?
Like, yeah, you guys have seen the picture that the Statue of Liberty is based on.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the Statue of Liberty without the headdress, like just straight up Saturn and Apollo, massive statues all over the world.
What's the name of it?
Periphery.
The Periphery.
Is it just me, or this is off topic? Is it just me, or does Tully sound just like Bill Clinton from the mid '90s?
He doesn't have that Arkansas
I did not have sex with that young woman.
I did not have relations with that woman.
Very good imitation.
We may have to get you to do some more of that tonight. That's good.
But anyway, that makes sense, and that sounds really familiar. And there's actually a picture. I only got one picture I want to share if you guys are cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This comes from June 24th of 2017 or 2016, one of the two. Let me put on my spectacles here.
All right.
Let's see. Let me make sure I don't get the wrong thing on here. Let's see. This is showing all my tabs I got pulled up. But can you see that? Now, this was centered above CERN when it was fired up one of the times.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's
CERN is like right here somewhere.
But they're not opening portals, and that's just pure coincidences.
yeah.
And for the people that's listening, what it is, it looks like there's a ring of clouds, and then it looks like kind of like an explosion in the middle with just a lightning striking everywhere. And then there's a direct correlation, like a beam coming straight from CERN up into the sky.
Yeah, you can see the beam coming up from the ground, and that beam is huge.
Yeah.
So
That's that ribbon that they could see. What was it, over in Norway a few years ago? That was one of those times when they had CERN fired up.
Yeah.
You know.
there's some videos and stuff that we'll talk about that if you want to go look them up, there's searches that will give you that you can go to BitChute or Rumble and put it in and find these videos. We wouldn't be able to show them on here.
Yeah.
But probably one of my favorite things, though, too, about CERN is when you start talking about the truth about it and you start like trying to search main articles and stuff, all you're going to find at first is fact checks.
Yep.
It's
And
very hard
it's
to
not
find anything on CERN, really. Like anything you search, if you were to go on the internet and search CERN conspiracies, it's the first thing you see. It says crazy conspiracy about CERN or fake hoax, fake hoax about CERN.
Yeah.
fact checks.
Isn't that strange that that's the very first thing that pops up too instead of their actual Wikipedia? Like,
Yeah.
like we want you to see this first.
Yeah. We want to make sure that you doubt yourself on what you're about to find next.
Well, we already know the internet's compromised.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And we've talked about this multiple times on this show and on We're in the Vault about mandelis.
Yes.
You know, every time they fire it up, something changes. You know, something changes that many different people are not misremembering, you know, the same
Right.
things
No.
and everything, you know.
Well,
I mean, if it
and
were a couple hundred, okay, maybe. But I mean, tens of thousands of people remembering things that no longer exist or that are different.
I want to answer Mike's question real quick. He asked if they planned on building that big one in Texas. I believe they thought about building it in Texas, but I do believe they ended up building one in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Ah, okay.
Which I'm not far from Oak Ridge, and Oak Ridge is a super collider as well there. And apparently that's what the show Stranger Things might be based off of, is that whole area.
what's
And
funny,
I visited that area, and yeah, you can see it.
there's enough ordnance in Oak Ridge to take out probably the whole United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those places that's not mentioned near as often as Area 51. So,
Oh yeah.
you know,
There, I think that was after World War II in Vietnam. All of the ordnance that hadn't been used, a lot of it went to Oak Ridge. I think all of the nerve agents are there too.
And we could get into Oak Ridge, you know, about Megan Fox being from there and her ties to Luciferian and everything, but we're talking about CERN.
Yeah. Yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly sucks.
Not all opinions expressed.
Hey,
Disclaimer.
check some of this stuff.
But the scariest thing about CERN is the thing that we touched on. Like the scariest outcome of CERN, to me personally, in my opinion, is the thing we touched on first, and that being the portal to hell, or some form of hell, or some. And they're just trying to crack that open, because no matter what happens, that's not going to turn out proper.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a dream so real that you forget about this reality?
All the time.
Oh yeah.
So imagine like if the Mandela effects are all we're noticing, imagine the differences that they could be changing in our world that we just don't know about because we can't remember.
Yeah.
Now, the whole thing about the Mandela and how that came about is that they opened a black hole in 2010 or 2012, and we all got sucked in and we're just dead and don't realize it yet.
Yes, I've seen that one. That was an interesting one. You know.
Yeah. Which
In
I
what
think is
year?
more along 2010 or 2012. I think it's more along the lines of that 14-year-old kid that explained that we just shifted a decimal basically into a different universe.
That kid's a genius. I forget his name. I know who you're talking about.
Is that the
It's
one
a-
you sent us the video of?
Yeah, he's like 11 or something.
Well, he was.
Yeah.
I don't think he's alive anymore.
Oh yeah, he did disappear after that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is necessarily related to it, but have y'all ever run across those stories where people will find stairs in the middle of the woods,
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
read those.
and people will go up those stairs, and they can look back and see their friends, and then they walk on up, and they disappear. For them, is what, like 15 minutes, and for their friends, they were gone for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's some weird stuff. I just wonder if
Whenever you're messing with something like this, to where you're trying, because apparently they discovered the Higgs boson, which I believe they did.
Yeah.
Why not? Which they call the God particle, which is essentially what they originally thought was the particle that creates all life and things like this. Now they're thinking it breaks down even further.
But do you think that part specifically is to make people less spiritual? Like if they can tell you that they are God, you know what I mean, and that they are the controllers of the universe and fate, doesn't that take away a part of our humanity?
No.
No.
Or an attempt is what I mean. I don't mean it like I'm gonna allow
For some
it
people, it would just. But the thing. Oh, do y'all really want me to go here?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The thing about organized religion is it is used to control the masses. So they want to keep that, because if you take that away, there's going to be so many people who were only governed by what the Bible would tell them would happen to them if they didn't obey it. So once you take that away and you people have nothing, they think it doesn't matter what I do, there are no repercussions. Then you're going to have, it's just going to be mass chaos, and people, these powers can't control the masses if they do that.
I'm kind of a spiritual person in myself, and like I believe in a higher power. I just don't know exactly what it is. I feel like they're going to keep breaking things down, breaking them down until they're always going to reach the I don't know point. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't know.
It's just called agnosticism.
To Hadley's point, though, they want it to seem godless in a way, like godless in the God particle, yet all of their rituals, like the opening ceremony and the statues around Cern, they all signal toward these hateful deities for the most part, like really chaotic deities that they worship.
Because wasn't one of them Shiva?
Yes.
Yeah.
The goddess of destruction.
I don't want to say evil because that's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But with that right there, there's to me, and what I believe is there's going to a person is going to come on the scene at some point in the future, and almost everybody in the world is going to follow after this person, and this person is not going to be who they think the person claims to be. Or I didn't say that right. Everybody's going to be deceived by this person. Do what?
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I believe that too.
I do too.
But there's a reason why there are so many of the mass people who follow certain religions are called sheep.
Right. Yeah.
But there are people like us who, for better or worse, we're like sheepdogs.
Yeah.
We know to look for the people out there that are trying to mislead people.
Oh, exactly. I'll go ahead and tell you about me. I do teach some, and one of the things I will tell people from time to time is for them, don't believe anything that I tell you. Search it out for yourself.
Exactly.
Yep. What do they say?
Don't believe me just because I said it.
But Stephen, that's what sets you apart, and that's why you're our people, and that we all get along so well, because you do want to ask questions, and a lot of people don't think that you should question God.
But
we're not those people. We think that you should ask questions.
But 102% of the time, I usually take what Stephen says at face value.
I'm just the opposite. About 0.2% of the time, I believe what people tell me at face value.
Yeah.
I want to believe people, but I know better. But I'll say this. Hey, Mona. I'm so glad she's here. I've missed her.
I always go back to only a Sith deals in absolutes.
We'll have to talk about that sometime too, because I have things about the Sith we need to talk about.
If we lived a long, long time ago, I'd probably be a Sith. If we're to be honest.
Well, the thing with me is, and that's why I call it the universe or the creator or whatever. And to me, whatever works for you, that's cool. But because at the end of the day, it all breaks down to everything goes back to one thing, and that one thing was created by whatever you want to call that. So you can call it God, you can call it goddess, you can call it the universe, creator, whatever. But it's that one thing still had to create something.
Let's talk about Star Wars for a second.
Okay.
Because the Sith, the reason I always say that I'd be a Sith, I just want to clear up, is not because I'm evil. It's because they have feelings and they express their feelings.
Yeah.
The Jedi doesn't. The Jedi's supposed to be always be neutral. So that's why I'm a Sith. Because I get manic and I get crazy sometimes.
Like if you think about it, that is the nature. That's the nature of true duality, though, right? There's good and bad within both the yin and the yang. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like
There's
that.
balance. If without balance, it's chaos.
Yeah.
So,
That was for free for everybody listening.
Well, I think when I meet people, one of the things that I do is just internally is I kind of fill out what kind of element I associate them with. And
Hello.
when you
Alan.
learn, hey Alan, when you learn how to like start seeing like that aspect of people, you kind of break down how to deal with them. People who are earth-based are very much grounded in reality. They're going to be very pragmatic. And then you have people who are air-based and they're more into thoughts and ideas and wispy things. Water people are emotional. They're ruled by their emotions.
we are not.
No, not you. And I mean, so anyway, like I said, it helps me deal with people. But
It's like that guy that scream rages that steroids don't make you emotional.
Does anybody remember in 2000, when did CERN fire up exactly?
2010.
2010.
Yep.
There was a flight that some people blame on CERN. It was Airbus A330 to 300 allegedly vanished temporarily. Apparently they blamed that on a time slip because all the vents, something happened with the vents at CERN and it shut down like 53 of the superconducting magnets, and they believe it created a time warp.
Oh.
So going into the next phase of CERN, there's John Titor actually spoke about CERN, and it also plays back into the portals. That's how they've actually discovered time travel. So that's the reason whenever we speak about time travel and things like that, I say, well, that's probably because of CERN. So apparently John Titor said that CERN figured out how to create these time portals that actually they could keep them open, and that's how they discovered time travel, and that's how he came back. And there's been a lot of occurrences across the world recently. Like, you remember the Malaysia flight that just disappeared?
Yep,
Yes.
370.
Yeah.
Well,
there's all kinds of that happening now. And, people say Bermuda Triangle is no longer a thing. Maybe Bermuda Triangle was expanded by CERN, and it's just across the world in random spots at random times now.
As I say,
That's an
because you sure
interesting
don't
point.
hear it
well,
about just the Bermuda Triangle anymore like you used to.
but
You
the
know, I will
poles have
say-
shifted. So if the poles shifted, so would whatever was causing the Bermuda Triangle.
That's true.
Mhm.
But y'all know where
Um,
there's a big effing triangle is in Alaska.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to throw out a conspiracy about the Malaysia flight.
I want to
There-
hear it because I'm fascinated by that.
There, I wanted to touch on it because I think that this is interesting.
If it's
Very
one I'm
similar-
thinking of, this one could get us kicked.
I'm just gonna scratch the surface of this
Okay.
one. So very similar to how a bunch of people who opposed
Yeah, this
the
is good.
the Fed went down with the Titanic. There were a bunch of patent owners to a very famous medication that everybody except for one patent owner was on this flight. It was about to go generic to where it would be cheap for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And because everybody except for one patent owner went down with that flight, it is not cheap and it never will expire.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that right there happened to be about as convenient as Astor and Strauss, being aboard the Titanic when it's.
I'm not going to talk about the medication, but I mean, we can talk about it later. Look into it if you want to.
That should be the title of this. Like, that should be our subtitle.
Google this later.
Look into it.
Yeah, look into it because we can only scratch the surface on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the possibilities? Because I mean, that plays into the parallel dimensions, the time travel and everything. So if they're not trying to open a portal to hell, which that's the number one thing I think they're trying to do is try. When I say hell, I put quotations around it because I don't know if it's hell or like some ancient form of a underworld. But
well,
I
what
mean,
if it's
leftover something?
It seems like it's out of a playbook to me, and the playbook seems to be the Bible.
It's been
Well,
it's
okay,
been over 70 years since they found all of the Stargate stuff. It could be leftover tech, or a form of reverse engineering that Stargate tech to be able to do that.
Well, off topic, but kind of not. Someone told me years ago that the standing stones, like in Britain, on the British Isles and all, that those were like fairy rings, and that Stonehenge was built to try and duplicate what those stones did naturally, and that it was like a portal.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, if you want to talk about portals, I was talking about the whirlwind. How God talked to Job out of the whirlwind. Well, basically, you're talking about a portal right there. And it talked about Elijah. He went up in the chariot in the whirlwind. You're talking about basically that can be understood as a portal to us.
right.
So I think it's not surprising to me that they're trying to duplicate that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I've said before. To me, a lot of times when you're reading fiction, especially sci-fi and fantasy, that some of these writers are really reaching into realities that most people just don't see them as reality, but it's like they're sensing things. And a set of books I read last year actually talked about this company trying to open a portal because they wanted to open it up and have it be Earth-like so they could go ahead and plant fields and raise livestock and stuff so that it would take care of the problems we were having in this world. So, when it got to a critical point, they would already have this mass amount of food and stuff that they could bring out. Well, of course, something went sideways, and what they compared it to was this was just the newest iteration of 3 Mile Island and Japan, and that these were all the same experiments that had failed. And you sit and you think, and you're like, that makes so much sense. And it's easy to call it, it was just a nuclear accident, or it was this, or it was that. But was it? Why could it not have been more? And that was just the cover story because, nuclear fallout's a lot better than we were trying to open a portal and we screwed up.
Yeah.
Well, you know that the Philadelphia experiment wasn't the only time they tried that.
Exactly.
Right.
No.
Just like how, that's a lot of the stuff we talk about. I was talking to Cecil about this. everybody knows MK Ultra. There was like 10 different MK programs.
Hmm.
There's a lot of different like subsects of this stuff that
Right.
that we hardly ever touch on. I mean, we'll eventually get to it, but
Oh, yeah.
just to point that out.
So it's in the 10-year plan.
That's
It's
right.
in the 10-year plan. Hadley, earlier you mentioned the triangle in Alaska. Has that shifted too? Like the
Well,
Bermuda, or is it still active?
I think it's still active, but
Yeah.
that was something that they only recently started talking about in recent years.
All right. The thing about the triangle in Alaska, reportedly, there's a pyramid buried underneath the ground in Alaska in the Alaskan Triangle.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
I was looking into this the other day. There are some 11,000 pyramids across the Americas.
Yes. Yeah.
that's just a
You know how many?
more evidence.
Like 20.
That's just more evidence of the one.
Crazy.
We had a one world civilization at one point. I fully
Yes.
believe that.
you saw
Absolutely.
that thing I sent you and Morgana this morning from National Geographic that they found something that said we weren't the smartest ones out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I struggle with a lot of mainstream archaeology, because like I fully believe in my heart that we've had multiple world civilizations. Like we went through multiple resets through the millennia, and there's just barely fragments. All I can think is the kind of weapons they had, or the kind of things that were here to clear the earth out, were so powerful that there's just barely any fragments left.
Well, I think that
what
and
was.
this is me going down the bunny hole a little bit with y'all, but I really think that when the Ice Age happened, that some people went in ground.
Oh yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think there's civilizations in the ground because it
Well,
just makes sense.
If you want to
That's
get
what we kind of.
if you want to get scary about this, there's a thought that when the poles shift, that the Earth stops spinning, and it's a sudden flip that lasts for 7 days. And on one side of the Earth, it's going to be scorching hot, and on the other side, it's going to be freezing cold. And that the winds are going to exceed 1,000 miles an hour, and there's going to be a tidal wave that wipes across the Earth. So that could be one reason why people went underground. If you
Yeah,
want to get
that's-
scared for a minute.
What was it? The Hopi people who said that they lived underground for a while. The ant people.
Yes.
Actually helped
Yeah.
them survive.
The
Well,
Hopi
and that-
elders have a lot of really great wisdom. And
Mhm.
look for it on YouTube. I do.
I was looking at old stamps this morning and thought of you guys. There
We
was
talked
one
ab-
from the 1923, I think, Philadelphia World's Fair. Yeah.
So this plays directly into something that some people think that I've found in the depths of the internet. Some people think CERN is a good thing. They think that this ancient technology is somehow located in this area, and that they built CERN based off of the Mayan calendar, which the world was supposed to end in 2012 to contain whatever it was that was going to actually destroy the Earth.
I did not find that one.
It was
I
a
like that. That's interesting, though. I'd like to see it. So, my question about CERN is, who works there?
CERN.
I mean, like, can Steven and I go and apply for a job there? Are they going to hire us?
I have my doubts.
I want you to send resumes and tell me what feedback you get.
I'd imagine to be. I
Probably
imagine.
not.
Actions up at your house.
Is that right?
I imagine to even be a custodian, you have to have a top secret.
So I had to look up the name of the person that I was thinking about. So before all of the Earth is a ball flying through space at millions of miles an hour and spinning and going around all of this other stuff, there was a guy. His last name's Pickard, and he was renowned before like the mainstream thought. He had sent a weather balloon up, way up, and surveyed and came back with the observations. He was minted on coins and everything and had all these accolades for his observations. Um,
I'm already on this one.
but we don't learn anything about this guy in school because that isn't the narrative anymore. Like we don't get to see his observations and come to our own conclusions. We're just
Right.
called crazy if it's anything other than flying through space alone at 10,000 miles an hour, or 10 million miles an hour.
I'm telling y'all from a historical, and I remember my undergrad's in history, and so I've been trained to study history. Is if you really want to know the news of what's going on in the world today, go look at other countries' news as well as our own,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
because you can't trust just what your country's feeding you because it's slanted.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to look at the other.
Well,
Other
and
news
I
sources.
should say this isn't anything new. This is how it's always been.
Mhm.
You know, you always have to check different in order to really get an idea of what is going on. You need to get at least 5 credible sources and then formulate your own opinion of it.
Going back to what Mona put in the chat, I'm already on a list, Mona. I'm not allowed in any Applebee's in the United States anymore.
So when you saw Talladega Nights, you took that as a challenge, huh?
Yeah.
I'm afraid if Logan gets those shower shoes from the Waffle House, he might end up on a list.
Well, you know, that's the thing. That's the reason we have an after show, because if we talked about all the things we wanted to, there would be no us on Friday nights.
Which
No.
And eventually we're going to put that behind a paywall, so everybody may be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
yeah,
There you go.
depending on how all that's structured, we may be able to even have people join the after show.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
that StreamYard has done something where you can have like up to 100 people on.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow.
Not like we're on right now, but like somehow they do like, of course, I need to study more. I know.
The after show, we get really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all have no idea.
I
But
don't know what they're talking about. I get off at straight up 8:00 and go read my Bible.
You keep telling people that, ringleader.
I believe we are.
yeah, I know wearing the folks going to have T-shirts for shorts, and
Yeah.
we just got to figure out this. And I know Weird Realities has some already designs, right? At least
So
Yeah.
I've actually got a Weird Reality shirt.
Really?
Yeah, I think-
don't.
well, you
I
can
think
come
when-
get one.
I know.
I actually have boxes for all of y'all that were supposed to be mailed out at Christmas, but it's been crazy around here. So
I
you
think
might,
once
you might get them for Christmas in July.
once the dust settles and we have everything, there should be an organized front to make purchases such as that.
Yes.
And the first thing is going to be this picture that I've got of Cthulhu escaping Cern. But anyway.
Okay, so all right, and we touched on it a little bit, but the rituals they do. I mean, it's they put it off as it's just an entertainment to welcome, the families and the scientists and stuff like that.
Now this
Yeah.
this pisses me off because this is like a smack in the face. In 2016, there was a video that emerged of them doing this ritual. They were dressed in cloaks, and it looked like they were sacrificing somebody, and it's been played off as a hoax. But when they fired back up, they did the exact same ritual minus the sacrifice to open back up, and that was public. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how they just kind of throw
Why
it out
did
there.
cloaks get such a bad rap?
I own 4. I mean,
I mean,
Yeah.
I wear my clothes at Walmart every day. I don't know why, but
Well, why did that one cameraman after that was over? He took off running away from the area. Took off.
scared to death.
off
Yeah.
so here's something I'm going to throw at you. Then, is it possible that's a Mandela?
That happened?
right, that the saying it didn't happen and then them doing it without the sacrifice.
I think it's just gaslighting.
Yeah, it's just gaslighting
Okay.
for sure.
I just
Yeah.
figured I'd throw it out there.
They could
Because you
be
can
the
still
Mandela-
find the video. They're just saying the video isn't real.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay,
Well,
gotcha.
I'd be like-
what's so bad about cloaks?
You know, I wish that played into everyday life to where I could go rob a bank and they had me on there and be like, that's not real. That's
It's not so much the cloaks. It's like they had like ritual headgear on, and they were all in cloaks and around somebody. And
You rob a bank.
Why does their bad fashion sense?
You rob a bank
A sacrifice.
and take all of that, take all the money, and Hadley's like, "What's so bad about clothes?"
There's nothing wrong with cloaks. I used to wear one when we played D&D.
I am pro cloak as well.
yeah, yep.
Oh, man.
Well, no. One time we had a get together, and it was some people who were not Christians, and we went to rent this cabin, and they were talking about we had done it the year before, and they were like, "Oh well, there are some people running around in cloaks in the woods." I was like, "Why the fuck are people so upset about the cloaks?"
No, last time I ran around in the woods, I was wearing tuxedo thong.
Oh, what? A tuxedo song?
Oh my goodness.
Do I even want to know what that is? No.
Well,
Just let it go.
just let it go.
The calendar's
That's
coming out
Mandela
soon,
effect,
folks.
'cause I don't know if
Did
that
it have
happened
a
or
Trumper
not.
bone?
We have the Cecil calendar coming out soon.
All you have to do is get me his face at a couple of different angles, and I can take care of the rest.
I told my wife about that, and she's like, "Who's going to buy that? I wouldn't even buy that."
Oh my god.
Anyway. So the
Okay.
Mandela effect, yeah, I love the Mandela effects, but there are some that infuriate me, that make me
Mhm.
so pissed that I can't see straight sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we haven't mentioned quantum computing yet in
No.
full.
Right.
So there is a theory for all those listening. I know there's some people who apparently had never heard about CERN, which is alarming, by the way.
And I will say this: 9 out of 10 of our episodes, one of the guys is going to bring up CERN.
And I'm sure we will after this as well.
Yes.
It ties into a lot, especially when it comes to anything to do with paranormal or like anything that may evolve into like parallel universes or anything like that. Because I mean,
Well,
pre-CERN, I know that was always a theory, but now it seems more prevalent and more exposed. But maybe that's just because of the growth of the internet.
we've talked
Yeah.
about a lot of like negative and evil subjects. I'll talk about one that isn't as downer.
All right.
And there's a quantum computing theory that says sometime in our future, it could be 1,000 years from now, somebody has invented a true quantum computer that has true like sentient thought, like transcendence.
I think they've done that already.
And when that is created, that point in time, thousands of years in the future, or maybe it was in the past, who knows?
Probably passed.
That computer is actively working through timelines, either through CERN or some other means, to make corrections to stop basically the end of our existence.
They need to hustle on up then.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but it's just like looking. Well, it's not just like Looking Glass,
Mhm.
but I'm sure that the way a computer would make corrections, it would make like micro corrections
Well,
Right,
and
so
then
that it wasn't
observe the
obvious.
trajectory. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, that's
So-
really similar to the guy that came back from 2300. He said that, we had the lands in the sky and the people on the ground, and there was a sentient computer that ran everything. So, yeah, it could be a thing.
Called Elon Musk.
He's from Venus.
Hey,
So,
man. Venus, I do believe that people have lived on Venus for sure. I think they
That's
still do.
there's literal. If you go to the .gov, the alphabetmafia.gov, and look up Elon Musk in their archive files, there's declassified documents that literally say he's from Venus.
Nikola Tesla.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Nikola Tesla, not Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, it was. Never mind.
Yeah.
oh, it's Tesla. Yeah.
I get Tesla and Musk confused.
He's a Venusian, like a
Why? Tesla was, it's the car, right?
yeah,
The
it's a
person.
car.
No, I mean, it's the car is the reason you get them confused.
Probably.
Probably,
Tesla, the
yeah.
person, is who the documents.
I think
Yeah.
you missed
say.
the
Hey,
deja
why
vu.
didn't Lona have deja vu? I missed something. What happened?
I think she,
Oh yeah,
I think you missed the deja vu episode whenever I threw out the theory that if you don't have it anymore, the person that's in your parallel universe is dead.
I don't have it like
Yeah.
I used to.
that's
Nobody
Cecil's theory.
does. Yeah.
Think about when it stopped, though. It was probably around 2013 when CERN really started firing hard.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people said.
Well,
So-
I used to believe that like there were so many different like I guess
think she's talking about
doppelgangers of us that were in all these alternate dimensions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that
Right.
could be tied into CERN too.
They
Yeah.
keep telling people through disclosure. Think about the movies that have been coming out.
Mhm.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. Doctor Strange in the multiverse.
Yeah.
It all screams disclosure.
Yeah. I
Well,
like Thor in the Dark World. You know, that was
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Doctor Strange, I like that one too. So.
Well,
But,
I know I've told y'all this that I saw this. It was somebody had done a chart about the different levels of consciousness, and it would have like your sleeping state, and then past that, on between like your shamanic state, and then the one where you're dead, like that. There was one for artists, and it was like that's where you go and get creative thought from. And I couldn't find anything more for it. I'm still looking. It fascinated me. I'd love to understand that. And if I find it, I'll show y'all. But I've always told y'all that I think there's a place where people who are creative, when they're out, they go and they pick up stuff in that place.
Mhm. Well, that's
That's
the
a-
reason I think a lot of times that people who say, "Oh, well, they plagiarized me," it's not that it's that people are tapping into that same
Mhm.
consciousness.
Well, and that's why there's no truly unique thoughts. There's everything comes from this collective consciousness.
Have you guys done the TikTok experiment yet? That we talked about?
Mm,
Long way on it.
You have to write it down and send me. I forget stuff.
So the task and the homework that I had talked about, this has been episodes and episodes ago.
we
Think
suck,
about-
just say it.
Think about something super random, like the most super random thought that you can possibly think of. And I guarantee that if you scroll on TikTok, you're going to see it.
Even you could even do it on the Book of Faces, like anything like that. Like
Look,
I-
that happens to me on Google. I
Me
can
too.
literally type one letter and the weird shit that I'm thinking pops up. And I'm like,
That,
okay.
like,
Mine's
I think
very- anytime I
the-
type EO, it automatically knows where I'm going for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I did have happen on my Google search the other day. I used Google some, and it had a bunch of stuff tapped in searches on there, stuff that I had not looked for.
Hmm.
And that's
the
like, what?
the
What was
last
that?
one that I tried, and you can liken it to Randonautica too, how that works. But
Yeah.
the last one I tried, I just put 3 random words together, never told a soul, and it was something to the effect of like red balloon, air filter, and sand. And it was the same day I saw all 3 things in one video on TikTok.
Really?
And it's stuff like that I mean, it could definitely be CERN related, but it also makes me think, like with this technology that we have, we don't fully understand how it's working on the back end.
Right.
We just know we have these black screens that information comes out of thin air,
Mhm.
and you just get it, and everybody's happy because of the dopamine hits.
It's so strange because that show The Office. We haven't watched that in a year probably. And I was outside working on the truck, and I pulled up my phone and something on Facebook. Like I had 3 Office memes, like back to back to back. And I was like, huh. And I walked inside, and my wife was watching it.
Yeah.
I was
So
like, the hell?
what I was trying to get to, same thing with deja vu. There's sometimes where I'll be like in quiet meditation, and I try to quiet the
You
mind.
mean being drunk?
Well, yeah, that too. But no, in all seriousness, like I'll be trying to just relax for the night, like trying to go to sleep, and always try to push away thoughts in that sort of sleep state that I'm in. But sometimes, if I'm not tired, I'll actually like meditate on something.
I don't know how you
And
go to sleep when it's completely quiet. That's weird.
sometimes it almost feels like there's another observer. I don't know if you guys ever get that feeling, like when you're trying to
Mhm.
have thought, and I can't ever tell whether it's just my paranoia or whether it's just so many waves in the air now that you can't truly like project yourself. You know what I mean? Like without being watched by something.
I don't remember who said it, but there was some kind of study done that said 9 times out of 10, if you feel like somebody's watching you, they are.
Mhm.
Well,
So,
that's creepy because when I was little, I used to think there was a man in the air vent watching me.
probably was.
Could
Well,
be.
Didn't necessarily mean it was a human man.
No.
That's Occam's razor. The simplest answer is usually the true one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tully, circling back around to way earlier, the periphery or the peripheral?
Periphery.
Peripheral, maybe it's got.
It's about video games.
Yes.
That's okay.
That's the one I told y'all to watch.
Yeah, I
months
watched
ago.
that one.
I'd be tore up if
Well,
we didn't
I've only
play-
seen
The
the first.
second episode is the best.
So and I don't know if they show it past the first episode, but those massive statues in the city are Saturn, like a Apollo, Apollyon.
Yeah.
I'd be tore up if we didn't talk about the waves you were talking about before we started, Tully. What was that?
Yes.
Say that again.
You mentioned something about waves that were a precursor.
Oh, that one was basically that they being whoever is gaslighting on CERN's behalf created the Mandela effect to cover up for a side effect of bringing these beings into our world.
Mhm.
Like when the beings come in, that they're literally tearing the fabric of our reality apart.
Mhm.
And it's because of Stephen's point that they've been cooped up for 1,000 years and have, or, ever how long, and have so much power.
And that's a scary thought. And I believe that it's true. And to me, that's just spooky as to thinking about how that could be the goal for
And
some of these entities someday.
It would, to me, make so much more sense if that goal were to prevent that. But there are some stupid people in this world.
Oh yes.
Agreed.
And the more means usually means the more stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Landa, I'm sorry, Landa, to your statement there. Talk to him. Tell him I know you're here.
If
Make
you're
sure-
having bad problems, Linda, I know someone in Dallas that I can put you in contact with. That's what he specializes in.
Before
Our
you
good
take
friend
any,
Bob Dominguez. So
oh yeah,
he,
I was just going to say, before you take any radical actions, if you're sleeping with your phone off of airplane mode or your phone somewhere around your head, stop.
Yeah. That's a Yeah, these waves and everything that's going around can create all kinds of things. Like, and I believe that could be tied into anything to do with like what CERN's trying to do too.
Yeah.
Like all this waves, they change our frequency, they change everything about our lives basically, and they can create all kinds of stuff.
Well, that and something else to keep in mind too, and I personally, and I know Hadley's the same way, I go off of feel, because there's always somebody / thing around. But as long as I don't feel intimidated, then I don't think that it's something that's going to harm me.
Right.
If I feel intimidated, then I start doing what I need to block that or tell it to move on.
To go to sleep, what I do is I put on cartoons, and I go to sleep to cartoons.
Yeah.
Were you watching like Gravity Falls?
No, whatever cartoon I feel like. Sometimes it'd be Bugs Bunny, sometimes Family Guy. But if I don't have something on, I can't go to sleep. I don't know why.
Really?
Like, I have to have some kind of sound.
Yeah, I had to get used to falling asleep with the TV on when I got married. My wife, she doesn't have a TV on. She can't go to sleep, and up until that point, I always had my room completely pitch black, no TV or anything like that.
And that's why you're a psychopath.
Well, see, my room has to be pitch black, but if I don't have music or meditation or binaural beats or something going, I have horrendous nightmares. And that just started about the last year. I just happened to start making the connection. I'd have these horrible, dreams and nightmares, but it was always when I went to sleep. And now I sleep with a fan, actually 2 fans every night. But if I didn't have, go ahead.
The deprivation method's the way to go. Blackout and white noise.
Yeah. Like I said, as long as I've got something going, I'm fine. And I mean, I still dream, and I still have weird off the wall dreams, but it's not those, violent dreams.
And that could be because of what's happening at CERN.
Mm-hmm. That's possible.
It could be.
Put your phones up at night, people. Airplane mode, preferably a Faraday cage if you have one.
Yeah.
See, I just
Where
put a
can
bunch
you get
of
a Faraday
cord.
cage?
You can buy them on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just for your phone. It's just like a little pocket you put it in so that nothing can get to it.
Yeah, well, it's not that difficult to make one. I don't remember all the steps you have to take, but you can actually make a little Faraday cage as well.
Maybe that's something we can do behind the paywall. Is have
I promise that if you put your phones away while you're sleeping, keep them away from your head, keep them in airplane mode, you'll sleep better.
I'm gonna try that because I sleep with my phone.
Well, like I said, I have my phone in my room because my husband's gone all the time. So, in case something happens.
That's the same here. Well, my husband is gone, but
but I also keep it surrounded by cords.
I do still use my phone for an alarm. It's just not active. Like the alarm can work without your phone being able to connect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that, Mike.
That's cool.
I wish I dreamed about Harry Potter with me in them.
I want to play that new game.
Did I send you guys the video of Dobby from the game?
No.
I'll do that in a minute.
Yes.
All right.
Do. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't disagree with you, Tully, that, I back years ago when phones really, nobody had a smartphone back then, but a girl that I did a bunch of work for, she was a feng shui consultant. I mean, studied in Japan, the whole 9 yards. And she used to bring me chunks of rose quartz and chimes, because the chimes broke up the EMF waves and stuff. So, I have chimes all around my house, and it's crazy. I even have one that's electric. You plug it in, you hit a button, and it shoots off air every few minutes and makes some chime. And It's pretty cool.
You know, I didn't have any animosity toward phones, and I didn't have any trouble that I'm describing with phones really until like 4G forward.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it was smart enough at the time.
Yeah. That's possible. I mean, because like I said, they say the more smart they get, the worse they get.
Think about this, and I know we're off subject, but
Not us.
If you could go back 15 years ago and tell your 15-year-ago self that your phone is listening to you and showing you targeted ads and can predictively top what you're thinking, you would call yourself a conspiracy theorist.
No, I would have believed it 100%.
Yeah, actually, I was probably more susceptible 15 years ago than I am now.
Well, I think that each level is meant to desensitize you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that once we get, there's an ultimate goal here, but like the phone has been evolving slowly and surely to desensitize you from how scary it actually all is.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. I can see that.
It's
all
terrible.
Right. Okay, final thoughts about Cern?
Cern. It's untelling what's going on there. There's 1,000 different things that could be happening there, and it could all be happening at once. And I believe that a lot of it is. So, they're opening portals. They're trying to deconstruct the world, possibly. I mean, it's untelling what's going on there. And it's something that we'll never know until it's either too late or something crazy happens. But there's already been crazy stuff happening, and people just kind of overlook it and throw it away as conspiracy.
Yep.
Sorry, Morgana.
I was going to say, somebody asked me at work the other day where they could find us, and I told her. And she said, "What do y'all talk about?" I'm like, "Well, we talk about weird stuff and conspiracy." And she goes, "Well, they call us conspiracy theorists until we prove them right." I'm like, "Okay."
I was talking about some popular sports conspiracies with a friend of mine who is not into this stuff at all. Although he's also a neighbor. And sometimes he's like, "I'm going to come join just to see what you guys talk about sometimes." And the problem is we are right 99% of the time.
Yeah.
But all it takes, and this is, we're always at the low ground because of this. All they have to do is deal us one L, and they're able to be like, "See, they're conspiracy theorists."
Yeah.
And, they have the high ground in that regard because they control the narrative.
Yeah. But, with that, it's we throw things out there, and we could be found wrong on something, or we could be found wrong at the moment.
Exactly.
It hasn't been proven right yet.
That's right.
One of my favorite quotes is from the great writer Jim Butcher. And it is, just because you don't see the invisible demon about to eat your face doesn't mean it's not there.
That's right.
Very true.
Love me some Jim Butcher.
And I think Cecil has a quote to wrap us up on, too.
Oh, no. Right now?
All right, guys, we really appreciate you joining us. Make sure to check back in next week. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be doing comparative religion. Let's see, next week on Watching Weird, they're going to be watching John Cusack movies for Valentine's Day. That's on Thursday. The girls at Blonde's Books and Campfire Tales are off until the following week. And then on the 20th, on The Wild Women of Weird, we will be doing Pam and Tommy love story.
Yep.
We're in the folk on the 11th and 18th is the Merfolk episodes with Hadley and Morgana.
Yay!
Well,
That was
Those
fun.
were fun.
Yes.
Have fun with y'all.
we also have the full series of the serial killer Sam Little is out now.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all need to send me the links for that so I can put them up.
Okay.
And we will also, in a couple of weeks on the 24th, we'll be having a special guest that will be on talking with us about unexplained disappearances. That'll be Abe Sloan. And over the next couple of months, we've got several guests that we will be letting you know.
I can't wait
Becoming
to
each
get him on
choice.
here. I love Abe to death. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And check out the new look on our website. We are working on it all the time. The elves are working diligently to get that website up and going, but it is out for y'all to take a look at.
The Queen Elf has done all the work on this, guys. Let's.
I remember. So I was gonna. There was one positive thing. You know, we were talking about the great spiritual awakening, and one thing that I love about all of that around CERN and everything. Just a final word is, they say that the battle has already been won. You know what I mean? Like that it may not be exactly up to us, but that, you know, that things that would wish harm upon you have already lost the battle pretty much.
That's awesome.
I like to think about that.
That's good to know. It makes me rest a little bit easier. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, stay weird.
Bye,
See you
guys.
ready to kill Kennedy.